Porous pipe. It's an ideal product if you're wanting gentle, precise irrigation. It can be used anywhere. As you can see here, we've got it on some raised beds set out quite nicely. It could easily go just as well in your polytunnels or outside in the garden. It can go wherever you want. Now, how we're going to set it up, we'll gently run through that as we go along. This bed, for instance, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, we've got 6 lines in there. This bed, we've dropped down to 4 lines. That's because this one's slightly bigger. We may need more water into that one than this one. Now we might find out what width do we need the lines spaced at. It's quite a simple one. Soil holds water to different degrees. If you've got very sandy soil, the water tends to just run straight down. If you're at Southport, the water just goes straight down. But if you're in a very clear area of the country, it holds water. So the lines could go slightly spaced further apart. But as a general rule, if we worked on about 50 centimetres apart for the lines over, for instance, our raised bed that we've got here, or maybe outside in the borders, about 50 centimetres apart is about an ideal spacing. Here we have a blank canvas ready for the pipe to be installed. We've got the components laid out there, how they would come to you, and we'll run through it step by step and help you through it. Now here you can see the products we've got that we're going to put together to produce the drip irrigation system you can see on the beds. First of all, we've got the porous pipe. That's the pipe that gently sweats out the water and does the irrigation. We can get that in 25, 50 or 100 metre coils. That's perfect. Secondly, we have the hose pipe. This is a supply pipe that's going to bring the water to the porous pipe. Comes in a 100 metre coil, but it can be cut into whatever sizes you want, very simply. Next, we have the simple fittings. We've got T-pieces. If you want to tee out of this supply pipe to the porous pipe, easily done. Elbows, similar thing. If you need to go down to a sharp 90-degree corner, perfect. Pegs, obviously on a lovely still day today, pipe's not going anywhere. But if you want to make sure it stays where it is, it simply pushes in and holds it down perfectly. Next, we're going to go through putting it together and showing you how it goes. Now we're ready to start. We're going to start to lay the porous pipe out in the beds. That's the first way to go. Gently undo the pipe like that. Just keep your eye on it because it can get a little bit excited and go all over the place. With the pegs, a simple way is just to push that in there, hold that down, and then gently run the pipe down. Pop another spark in as we're working our way down, and that's giving us our length for each of the lengths of pipe. It cuts really simple with a nice sharp pair of secateurs, nice and easy, it just cuts. Now if we're going to have the porous pipe spaced at 50 centimetre intervals, which is good spacing to go, I need to do this another 5 times down the bed, and that's what we're going to do now. Now the next part of the setup is to put the supply pipe to the porous pipe. We use this black plain 16mm LDPE pipe. We simply cut that into the desired lengths that we wish to space our pipes. We can simply, if you've got a tape measure, you can use a tape measure. Or like I say, if you're doing it at 50, if you're doing it at 30 centimetres, whatever your spacings, cut it equally along and away can go. It cuts very simply, just like the porous pipe cuts. Dead simple, that's all you need to do. Then obviously you do the same, do it equally down the pipe. 2, 3, 4. So basically we're going to lay that down there, nice and simply, like that, like that. Now, we've cut our lengths of pipe to length, the porous pipe's cut to length, and we need to join them together. We're going back to little T-pieces, they can go in quite nicely. It's better just to lay it out first, better to measure once and cut twice. There we can go there, and the elbows. Now we've got the ports laid out, we're now ready to put them together. Now there's a little trick that we use to help push the fittings into that pipe. We need to just warm this pipe. If it's cold, it's very difficult to push the barb fitting into it. So what we do, just a hand with a flask of warm water. As long as don't use boiling water, but just warm water. If the water's too hot, the pipe gets a little bit too soft and too soft. So that goes into there, and the pipe just simply pushes on quite nicely. So we'll do this along the whole length of the pipe. Like that. And as you can see, it's starting to build up quite nicely, keeping the lines and the T's all pointing where we need them to go. Now we're looking at this, we do need to get the water supply into it. So this can be done in any setup you like. But for today, we're just going to put a little tap on the end so we can bring the water supply to it. We can simply control the whole system via one tap. Now in order to do that, we're going to put the final T-piece with a little bit of pipe cut shorter like that. Warm that up. Put one side onto there, again going very simply, very easily. And you see we can start to build up anything we like. That's gone into there. We've just got one more to do at this end. And like I say, the use of this warm water really does make life a lot easier. And when it's cooled, it seals itself around the barb and gives it a very good watertight, secure fitting. And the last one is an elbow, as we said, to take it nicely back down the bed. Now the next stage is to fasten the lines of porous pipe to our header pipe. Use exactly the same principle in the fact that we warm the porous pipe slightly, make sure there's no dirt or anything in the end, make sure it's clean. Just start quite simply warming it up, pushing it on. That's the first one done. Second one done. It goes on quite easily. Once you've done one or two, you'll soon get going with it. As we carry on, we're getting there now. There's only another two to pop on. It's gone onto there nice and easily. On, nice and secure. We'll get rid of the flask. And now we're ready to keep it all secure. Now if you want, you could fasten it to the top and keep it secure. It won't move, it'll be there forever. If you need to be able to take the porous pipe away, maybe for weeding purposes, getting crop out, what we would suggest is to use the same spikes that we're going to support it by with and just simply secure that into there. Pushes in quite nicely. Very neat, very tidy. So the header pipe's in there, the water's ready to go down the beds. We've got control from our water supply, and the last thing we need to do now is put the end stops in the porous pipe to stop the water coming out at the ends. And we'll go around there and do that now. And there we go, down to the bottom end of the bed, complete with flask and stop ends. Undo the flask, the porous pipe, warm it up, just the same way as we've done every other fitting. Into there, stop end into there, pushed in it goes. Lovely. The next one, this is quite simply a bung that we're just pushing into the end of the pipe. The water will come right down to there, stop, then start to gently weep out up and down the length of the pipe, providing the gentle, precise irrigation that we're looking for. And now what we're going to use are the same spikes we've used earlier on, just to get the pipe nice and straight, so when you put the seeds in or your crop in, it all looks neat and tidy. It holds it ourselves in quite nice straight lines. We can lay the pipes out in the nice equal rows. As the water goes through it through the season, they will straighten out, although they're looking quite respectable as it is. But as the sun comes out, they will get a little bit softer and lie a little bit straighter, and hopefully if you've done it right, the crop will be growing and everything will be fantastic. I've got a few spare clips there, so any little bits of that aren't just right, I can just secure it just to keep it in just where we want it. And that is looking just about as good as we're going to get. Now the last job is connecting my water supply, water butt, to the porous pipe system. We can use the standard quick couplers that you can get anywhere, but we have lots of them and they work perfectly. Simply screw that onto there. I've got a pre-cut piece of hose, which just happens to be the correct length, and just fasten that onto there. Link that to the bottom of the water butt, turn it on, and I can stand back now and relax. The water will start to seep through and irrigation is going perfect. And as we can see now, the porous pipe's working away absolutely perfectly. Lots of little bubbles all the way along the pipe, giving precise irrigation nice and gently where you need it. If you start to see little jets of water, you've got a bit too much pressure, you need to lower it down. It works perfectly at low pressure, hence the water butt we've got over there, it works a treat. And you could even save roof water if you wanted, giving you a very, very good economical way of irrigating. And also using the porous pipe system and the water butt, you could quite easily just put a little bit of tomato food or something in like that. It'll come out through your porous pipe and give you feed, water exactly where you want it, when you want it, giving your crop, the vegetables, the best chance they're going to get this year.